travel or change their plans. Is there a way back to the table?
There's a way back to the table. We're talking to both elements of the industry tomorrow, Network Rail and the train operating companies. I'm confident that if Grant Shapps and Rishi Sunak let them negotiate in the way that a normal business would do, we can get a settlement to the issues in front of us and work our way towards it. At the minute, I believe they're shackled by government policy and Grant Shapps' diktat, which is set down by Boris Johnson and the leadership of the government. They're stopping a settlement coming forward. If we can get some freedom to negotiate, we'll find our way through this.
Can I say, you've answered those questions and the accusations of you being a Marxist and a baron, and I suppose in the other way,
Can you be a baron and a Marxist at the same time?
I know, it's very interesting, isn't it? A good mix.
Baron von Westphalen.
But you've accused the government of lying as well. I wonder whether any of those things help in terms of negotiations.
Well, I don't, but when somebody stands in front of me and said, I walked out of a meeting on Saturday morning and went to a rally instead of negotiating and representing my members, I have to object. A government minister said to me yesterday, you walked out of a meeting on Saturday morning. That is an utter lie, a fabrication. Grant Shapps said it on Sunday, Chris Filt was repeating it last night, and other Tory MPs are saying it as well. We would never walk away from a discussion. And in fact, to credit to the companies, we have a very cordial and professional relationship with these managers when we're discussing these issues, and we will always conduct ourselves in that way. We would never storm out and have a tantrum. It's not my style, and it's not the style of this union. We're an assertive, professional union.
And finally, it's not talked about much, but there's also this week, there's a public relations battle going on, isn't there, between you and the other side. Do you feel that you're winning that at the moment?
I've no idea. I never get to see any of it. I'm always going and doing the next interview. But people are telling me that we're getting our message across. And it's certainly chiming with a lot of people who may be not supportive of trade unions all the time, because they're seeing that there's a different side to this debate. Profits and dividends are up. The cause of some of the inflation in this country is rampant profiteering. It's not workers who've had their wages suppressed that are causing these problems. They just want a balanced economy with a square deal for working people, and that's what we're trying to achieve for our members, and I hope the other trade unions are successful in their campaigns as well.
And might there be more, do you think? Thursday, Saturday and more to come?
Well, Thursday and Saturday are on the cards already, they're scheduled. We're talking to the companies tomorrow. If we can't get a settlement, those will go ahead. When that's over, we'll talk to our members and our executive committee and decide what the next stage of the campaign will be. That applies on the National Railway and for our London Underground members who've got similar problems to the people on the National Rail. So we're here to negotiate, but we'll also assertively put our case and we'll take industrial action if that's what's needed.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Right.
Thank you, boss.
See ya.
Do you want to do a short?
Baron.
Short as well.
Duke. What is the word for a baron? Just lord.
Baron. Baron's right.
Yeah, Baron Greenback.
Baron von Westphalen. Karl Marx's wife, Jenny von Westphalen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just get an interview there?
Yeah.
Quickly, yeah. Subject Access YouTube channel, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Got about 50,000 subscribers. So what's the strike about?
Well, the strike's about job security, so we're threatened with thousands of redundancies at the moment in both Network Rail and the train operating companies. That is a straightforward cut in their costs. They want to get rid of jobs so that they can save money and make more money for the employers. We've got them also seeking to impose drastic changes on our agreed conditions, the terms and conditions of employment.
Like what?
Well, things such as the way that the rosters are done. Obviously working on the railway, you've got 24/7 operation. They want our members to commit to working far more weekends, far more night shifts, far more weekend night shifts. They want us to give up some of the benefits that we've got on the railway, such as our pensions, which are being attacked both on London Underground and on the mainline railway. And they've got about 20 items that they want to bring forward that will make changes that could be...
What sort of things are they? Because for a lot of working people, the devil's in the detail in this sort of... I used to work on the buses, and it was always like the specifics of rosters, very difficult for someone outside to understand.
Well,
can you simplify it for people?
Well, so it's really important to people who work in transport and service industries where you work around the clock to know what your rights are in terms of getting time off, when you can take your holidays, and all of that is allocated in our rosters in the railway sector. So they want to change the rules of that, so we've got to commit to far more unsocial working. And our members have already got an unfair work-life balance. They have to do a lot of overtime to make a living. The typical salary for our members in this dispute is between 25 and 30k, which isn't a lot these days, for the commitment they do, which is working around the clock on shifts. So it's stuff like that that can change their lives detrimentally and may make some of them leave the railway industry where they want to give that service commitment. But they've gone further this week. They've also said that future staff will be offered lower wages, not just not keeping up with inflation, but are actually going to lower the wages, and they want to extend the working week from the agreement that we've got, which is 35 hours, to 40 hours. Now that's a direct challenge to a trade union. Trade unions don't come into this game to make the terms and conditions
When is that
worse.
planned to be done? Or is that for the new workers?
Immediately.
For the new workers, you mean?
Yes,
Or
immediately.
Right, okay.
Immediate implementation.
Okay. And what about this story about closing down ticket offices and stuff like that? Or is that not your...
Yeah, they've put on the table that they wish to close every single ticket office in Britain. Now, we understand the modernisation agenda. We understand that there are new channels to sell tickets and raise revenue through electronic ticketing and all the rest of it. But there are many people in this society who have accessibility issues, the elderly, people with learning disabilities perhaps, and our foreign visitors who we depend on, overseas travellers and tourists, depend on for the income for the country. They want a pleasant experience when they turn up a railway station. They want its staff, they want assistance, and they want help to enjoy our country. Now, we want to make sure that we've got a human staff railway rather than some sort of dystopian clinical environment where you don't know where to go and you can't get assistance. So we want to keep those levels of service up on behalf of the railway and on behalf of the public.
Okay, a story being spread in the media is that the median income that you're talking about is not what they get ridiculous wages. And then the second story being spread around is that it's a return to the 70s, big strong unions, exercising their muscle, bringing down the government, bringing down the country, wrecking the economy, causing inflation. What's your answer to that narrative?
Well, we haven't caused inflation. Barely anyone's had a pay rise for 10 or 12 years, and certainly in the last 3 years there's been a real clampdown that anyone's ever seen. Despite that, prices have rocketed. We've all seen, we see it every day on our utility bills and all the rest of it when you go down the shops or when you try and clothe your children. So it's not wages that have caused this price spiral, it's prices and profiteering that have caused that. So our people have the right to try and claim some catch up on that. We're not trying to bring the government down. The government is elected through the ballot box, for better or worse. I don't like this government, but it will be the voters that decide on who the government is going forward. But workers do need strong trade unions. We've had Tory governments in the past, in the 50s, 60s and 70s, that have had to live with strong trade unions, and that balances out the workplace. So I'm not a sentimentalist, I'm not a nostalgic. We live in the modern world. We've got to deal with modern technology, modern working practices and all the rest of it. And what workers need is a balance. And what trade unions do is provide that balance to overpowerful organisations such as the government and such as big employers, such as the ones we deal with. It
almost appears like your union is now perhaps the strongest union in the country in the ability to exercise its muscle. So could it be that behind the scenes somewhere there are people? I remember going to a jumble sale, funny enough, in 1980s. I found a document called The Plan to Break the NUM. And it was a plot, basically. There were people planning to smash that union so as to undermine all the rest of the unions. Is there something like that, perhaps, in the offing?
Well, the government is certainly directing this dispute. The contracts they have with the train operating companies say explicitly that the Secretary of State, Grant Shapps, is responsible for the conduct of industrial relations. And Network Rail is directly owned by the government, so the Department for Transport directly controls and influences their stance at the negotiating table, and that's a problem. If they would let them negotiate, we could get on with doing a deal in this dispute and getting an agreement that satisfies all parties, hopefully.
How many members do you actually have, and how many people are involved in the railway?
42,000 people in this dispute who we balloted. We're a union of 82,000 people. We specialise in transport, particularly the railway, but maritime and buses as well. So we're quite a niche trade union. We're not one of the big battalions. We're not Unison or Unite that have got 1 million or so members. So
the specific weight of the union is much more powerful than a lot of other
we're focused on one sector. Yeah, I've got to shoot off.
All right, thank you very much. What's your name?
Mick Lynch, General Secretary.
General Secretary of the Union.
You're
Thanks
right.
very much.
Mr. Lynch.
Yes. All right. How you doing?
I sent on the Twitter my
shake my
comment.
hand. Oh no, you don't do that. We don't do that anymore.
Yes, you
I
do.
sent on Twitter my comment.
Okay.
On the strike.
You supporting us?
No, I absolutely on the wrong. You done a wrong thing. You done a big wrong thing. What you done is affecting my son.
You're on your bike. You're healthy.
How's it affecting him? That school is 500 yards away. Where do you live?
My son had an exam. You don't think about
ITV
school
before.
children.
You did all right with school
here?
exams?
Have a record this as well. You don't
How
can that mainline railway affect your son? Maria Fidelis is there. The next corner.
I have record. Hello, Mr. Lynch.
It's all right. It's a busy day.
That can't be true, can it?
About you guys. Why are you out today?
Right now.
What field you work in? What do you do? driver, worker in the station?
CSA on board.
Sorry?
CSA on board.
Okay.
Customer Service Assistant.
Okay, so what's the reason for you being on strike?
Reason is because we better pay rise than job security. Basically, not been promised that. And the other thing, we basically mostly come to work every day, and the rest day is being compromised to us.
And your rosters are difficult or are they fixed?
Right now, it changes every year, for them, as far as I know. But without this, even COVID didn't help at that time. And right now, I'm losing a lot. I have a baby girl at home, and basically, I'm losing all my time with that, and I can't do that anymore.
So you live in London?
I live, yeah.
And how much money do you have left at the end of the month? Let's deal with the specifics.
Usually, roughly with overtime, about 2,000, 200, 1,100, 2,100.
No, that's your income, okay. But when you've spent your basic spending, rent or mortgage or whatever, and your food and children's expenses, the basics, rather than luxuries,
Yeah.
what sort of money do you have left over every month?
Not much, about 200, 300 pounds at least.
Okay.
So it is basically right now a constant struggle just to keep myself and my family going.
So what do you and your workmates, when you discuss these issues, when you prepared for the strike, what were you saying to each other?
That basically they should stop kidding around and give us better job conditions, but at least in a way a little caring for us as well, in order to do our job more efficient. And the other thing, that motivation in order to do our job better.
Okay, thanks very much. What's your
No
name?
problem.
What's your name?
Fabio.
Thanks very much.
Oh, look what we got.
Yeah. Can I get you two quickly? Yeah. What's why are you on strike today?
Sorry, I can't really give you any answers
Oh.
on that. You've talked to me. You've talked to our.
I just want to get a general.
He's told you everything that you just.
No, he hasn't. I wanted to know from the ordinary members as well.
Well, the same thing. It's what he said. It's about.
I got everything he said, but yeah, I wanted to get an atmosphere from different types of workers. You know what I mean? All right, if you don't want. Prepared to interview? Oh, you're not with them. You're supporting, are you?
Yes.
Or why are you supporting?
We support because the price rise, the payment is flat. We need more unity. We need to stay together because our situation is bad. The situation of our class is bad, and we need to stay together.
Okay, thanks very much, mate. I don't know why they're not prepared.
Bernie Sanders, in between them. I like him, but I don't.
What do you want to say?
Nothing.
Nothing. So we got a mask on your face. Never mind. Why is there so few people out on the picket line? So there's only a few people here.
Most of the people came this morning, so I just
Oh,
came
is it?
yesterday afternoon.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Thanks very much, mate. Cheers. Ta-da. Okay, I just wanted to give you an atmosphere of what's going on the strike there. So we happened to catch the General Secretary because I happen to live in London and thought Euston would be the ideal place, and their office is around the corner. So I figured they'd be coming here. So we had a bit of luck there getting the General Secretary. It's probably the longest interview you'll see with him because the other ones, ITV and that, will probably cut it down. So that's Euston Station, RMT strike today. See you later.